most secretaries haven't favored a weaker dollar. So I don't know where his views actually are, but he certainly made a mistake by not speaking in a carefully scripted way and not emphasizing the importance of financial soundness.
Does the president's follow-up to that, saying that the dollar is going to get stronger and stronger, ameliorate any of your concerns?
Yeah, probably a little bit. On the other hand, I always thought, the presidents I worked for always thought that it was a big mistake for a political leader to make forecasts as to what was going to happen in markets. No one really knows what's going to happen next in markets. So I was surprised to see the president investing his credibility in making a forecast.
You've been hypercritical of this administration. No surprise there. But some of your tweets last night, I just want to read one. Business leaders playing up to real Donald Trump in Davos should ponder that those who dine too long with the devil end up on the menu. And all due respect, Mr. Secretary, what are you talking about with the market and these corporate commitments to investing and consumer spending at a 2-year high? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean a couple things. First, I think the degree of credit giving to the president is not really warranted by the evidence. You know, if you look at the upwards revision in forecasts, Europe and Japan both had larger upwards revisions over the last year than the United States did. If you look at the strength of stock markets, most of the rest of the world in common currency rose more than the United States did. The president said that, you know, over time, there's a tendency for strength in your country and strength in your currency to go together. He needs to ask himself why the dollar's fallen nearly 10% over the last year. That is a little inconsistent with the story that there's some kind of vast new strength in the United States. And I think the president has taken a legion of short-sighted actions that may produce a benefit in the short run, but will be very costly in the long run. Things like big deficit expanding, tax cuts, things like sacrificing environmental values by pulling out of Paris, by opening up land for drilling without environmental protections. Steps like raising questions about whether the United States is going to honor its trade treaty commitments, steps that involve protectionist measures, steps that involve pressuring individual businesses. I think all that type of thing can produce a little short-run increase in demand, but does so at some real long-run cost to U.S. credibility and therefore ultimately to U.S. prosperity.
But what about the tax reform you lumped in there and that long list of things that you're concerned about? You think that that's a short-term risk? You think that there's something that we are missing here? I mean, look at the market run. Look at all of the things all of these corporations are doing today to give back to their employees and shareholders as a result of tax reform.
I think it's crazy to try to judge decade-long policies on the basis of 4 weeks of stock market response and corporate announcements. I think we've mortgaged our future, and we're having a bit of a party right now. What I'm looking at is, in a year or two, the largest budget deficits in the context of a fully employed economy in our peacetime in our peacetime history. And I'm looking at what are we going to do when the next problem happens. Another recession will come. We're already pursuing policies that drive the dollar down. We're already shooting the fiscal cannon. That's what I'm worried about. This is the time to be preparing, not the time to be having a party.